Hey there. In today's video, I want to show you how you can take a multiple open contact from a Smart Lead campaign, get their LinkedIn contact, and then create a task, associate the task, and then enrich that LinkedIn profile in HubSpot. And in this video, we're going to use OutboundSync, Clay, a few different data providers, Smart Lead, and then, of course, HubSpot. So here you can see the final result in this shared table. I'm going to explain everything that we're doing here, but just at a really high level. We've got a contact that we sent over through a test payload in Outbound Sync. And so this is a test email open, which is our trigger. And then what the user wanted to do is they wanted to know if there's contacts where they have multiple opens on an email and then take for the sales reps to take action on those multiple open contacts. I sent that test open activity over into HubSpot, and you can see the after fact or the end result here. We've got a task, we've got a LinkedIn profile, but I'll explain how we did those things. So we sent over that test payload with Outbound Sync. Then we use a workflow in HubSpot. We want to find contacts where they have an Outbound Sync opened email and that event was sent more than 3 days ago. In other words, that open webhook was fired off more than 3 days ago from SmartLead. And so just to review and show you how to find this in Outbound Sync, so we go to filters and then in HubSpot, select for open properties, and then we would be getting the event timestamp from those open properties. And then we're setting it to being more than 3 days. Then we're going to add it to a static list because we don't want to be doing this multiple times. We just want to run this if a contact multiple opens any given email, they're going to be enrolled in this workflow. And you can see the static list here. And this static list is going to be our source inside of Clay. So we're importing contacts from HubSpot from this static list. And the list in this case is called Outbound Sync, open 3+ days. We're getting the contact ID, the owner ID, the email address. And then this is data that we're getting from Outbound Sync, which is the campaign name and the campaign ID. Now, we're going to look up that lead in SmartLead using Clay's integration. Clay has a built-in integration with SmartLead, and so we're going to use that email address to do a lookup. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch the view on this table so that I can show you specifically what's happening in those enrichments. Just give me 1 second. All right, we are back, and this is the full proper table in Clay. You can see a lookup here. Now, I've got the SmartLead API key connected, but I'm also going to use an API call in a second in SmartLead, and let me show you that next. You're going to notice that there's no lead found here. I just want to note really quick that I don't want to show real data. So this is just test data. In another table, I ran this, and these lookups do work. We find our lead, and then we're going to do an API call into SmartLead. Now, I'm going to zoom in here so you can see we're doing this as an endpoint directly into SmartLead, and then you're going to need to enter your API key here, and you're going to look up based on the campaign ID and the ID and SmartLead that we get from this lookup. And what we're going to return from that, one of the properties that we're going to return from that will be the open count. So we're going to map that out. And then we have a conditional formula here where if the open count is greater than 2, return true, otherwise return false. The next piece of this is that we want to use LinkedIn for opens of 2 or more. And you may have loaded a LinkedIn profile in your initial SmartLead list up front. So we have a merge column here that is checking if you did that. So we're pulling from that SmartLead column. And then if not, if that's null and if that's empty, then we have that as a run condition to trigger checking these 4 different providers to see if any of them have a LinkedIn profile. And then there will be a merge between the first choice of being, if you did it already in SmartLead, or the second choice from the enrichments. So now we know we have a contact in HubSpot that was sent an email through SmartLead, synced with Outbound Sync. We know they've opened the email multiple times, and we have their LinkedIn profile. So we want to create something where HubSpot can be used as the system of action for the sales rep. Let me drill down and show you how this works. All right, I just verified that my API keys are not going to be displayed. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a task. So you can see the API call that we're doing here. I'm just going to scroll into the body of this API call, and you can see the variables that we're referencing from Clay. And then your API key would go down here. Now, if you want to do this, you're going to need to create a connected app in HubSpot. in order to do these API calls. And you're going to have to set the proper scopes for that. In other words, have the proper permissions in order to do these tasks. That's a little bit, I'm going to say, outside of the scope of this video, because I just want to stay focused here. But that's the missing piece here. You need to have a connected HubSpot app with the appropriate permission to do these API calls. Now that we've created a task, we want to associate that task with the contact. So we are going to run this API call to do that. And you can see, again, we're referencing these IDs that we're using earlier in this table, again, using that API key. And then finally, I figure, why not add that LinkedIn profile to HubSpot since we have it? And we're going to reference it in the task in the first place, but we might as well add it as a property in HubSpot as well. So we've got a patch API call designed to do that. And we're taking that. Now, I just want to, this is the last little thing here to think about that's maybe not shown in the video, is that LinkedIn profile is not a standard property in HubSpot. So we've created that as a custom contact property in the custom contact properties group. We're calling that out here when we update that specific property. And then we're going to run the rest of the way. And so what that's going to look like in practice is that a task is going to get assigned 3 days after an email goes out and it's been opened at least once. We're going to check if it's been opened multiple times. If it's been opened multiple times, we're going to get the LinkedIn profile either from SmartLead or from data providers. Then we're going to take that information to create a task, associate the task, and enrich the contact object in HubSpot. So give it a go. Let me know what you think. I think it's pretty cool. And this is just the beginning. There's a lot of things you could build on top of this, associating companies, doing other things, but hopefully it's a helpful start. Thanks.